Hey, thanks for joining us today on the Daily Dose. My name is Chris. I'm on staff here with the Life Group Ministry at the Vista campus. Today, we're going to be looking through chapter 4 in James, and we're going to be looking at this idea of humility. And if I was sitting here and we were having conversation, you might agree with me that when you think of the idea of humility, it really is a to-do, a task on your to-do list that you check off. And then we move on. But James is actually going to flush that out, and it's more of a process that if we can apply this to our life, we're going to see benefit in our relationship with Jesus. It's going to allow us to draw closer. And so let's go through that right now. We're going to start in verse 7 today. And again, view it through the lens and the perspective of this process of humility, okay? Verse 7 says this, "Submit yourselves then to God." So submit, this idea of submission is saying basically, I cannot do anything without God. I cannot do anything without God. When it comes to my relationships, when it comes to my workplace, when it comes to school, when it comes to my impact, when it comes to my significance, my worth, that God is the one that is going to fill that gap. He's the one that's going to make all those things possible. That He's going to allow me to do that well. He's going to allow me to love well and reflect Jesus well. And so it's submitting. It's being able to say, it's not me, but it's God. Okay? And when we do that, then we will start this process of humility in our life, because Satan, the devil, was the first person to say, I'm not submitting to God any longer. And he will do everything he can to peel as many believers away, as many children of God away with this idea of, you don't need to submit. Why are you doing that? Why are you thinking that? But there's so much power in submission. We continue, and it says in verse 8, "Come near to God, and He will come near to you." Now, this idea of coming near, this idea of drawing to God, there's going to be seasons where you and I are experiencing loss, we're grieving, financially things are unstable, maybe we've lost a job. There could be so many difficult situations that we're navigating where we find, when we look back, that God has actually pursued us. God has went out and said, come here. And He's overwhelmed us with His love. He's overwhelmed us with His grace and mercy. And then the rest of the time, though, as believers, we're called to actually stop and spend time with Him. And I'm intentional with that because God is the one that pursues us. When we stop, we can find God anytime we want. We can stop, we can be in relationship with Him. And so that's the challenge today is, can you do that? Can you find that time? Can you make sure to draw near to Him? As we continue in James, it's going to say, wash your hands, sinners, and purify your hearts, double-minded. So washing your hands, cleansing yourself, is this idea that I am no longer going to continue in that path of sin. I'm not going to continue to wrong people. And so it might be that maybe there's a recent person that you have wronged that you need to go back to, and you need to actually apologize, and then you need to restore. Meaning not just the relationship, but whatever consequences that were caused by your wrongdoing, you go, here's how I'm going to restore that. Now, he also talks to those who are double-minded, meaning, hey, for those who do this and then do something different when the conditions are right, when you're alone, when so-and-so is with you, when those conditions are met, when those thoughts are entertained, then you do something outside of God's word. And he says, essentially, he says this, he says, purify your hearts. The best way to purify your heart is going to be obedience. Obedience and obeying. And then he goes through and he finishes in verse 10 with the idea of humble yourselves before the Lord and He will lift you up. That He will lift you up is not so much about, hey, I'm going to platform you, I'm going to give you this incredible pedestal, but He's saying, I can use you. I want to use you in my plan for my purpose. And is there a greater calling than that? Hey, I hope this daily dose blessed you today. And I pray that you are using this process of humility in your own life. God bless.